All right, strap yourselves in because we are going deep into Frank Herbert's Emperor of Dune. We've got our notes, key passages marked up. Oh, and of course, the stolen journals to help guide us along the way. Today's deep dive, yeah, it's all about Leto II, this human sandworm hybrid who ruled for, get this, 3,500 years.
It really is mind-blowing when you stop and think about it, 3,500 years. And what's really fascinating about Leto II is that he's this kind of, I don't know, this tyrant, but also a savior. He puts into place this brutal plan, this golden path, because he is absolutely convinced that it's the only way humanity can survive. But it just makes you question so much. Can any ruler ever justify that level of power, absolute power, in the name of some greater good?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And it's something I think we grapple with even outside of, science fiction. Okay, we're tackling some really big questions here. Power, sacrifice, the ethics of it all. Plus, we've got rebellions brewing, genetic engineering that's gone way beyond anything we can imagine, and those cryptic stolen journals,
Yeah.
always hinting at what's going on in Leto II's mind. Are you ready for this?
Oh, absolutely. Let's start with Leto II's transformation. Just imagine merging with sand trout, becoming this monstrous hybrid. It's just such a shocking image, right? But it reflects how committed he is to this long-term plan, to the golden path. He's not just a man anymore. He's become something else entirely. Powerful, yes, but also profoundly isolated.
And it's not just physical isolation, is it? I mean, you read the stolen journals and you see this mind that's constantly wrestling with presence, seeing every possible future all the time. He's convinced that humanity needs his iron fist, his rule to survive.
Yeah.
That line where he says, I am God because I'm the only one who really knows his heredity, it's chilling.
Oh,
He's
absolutely.
not just claiming power. He's saying, look, I understand humanity's past. I know its potential future, and I'm the only one.
You've hit a really crucial point there. Leto II's prescience, it's not a gift, it's a weight, a burden that he carries entirely alone. He sees those self-destructive tendencies that humanity has, how susceptible they are to being manipulated. And he really believes that only his control, his oppressive control, can break the cycle.
But at what cost, right? I mean, this golden path that he's created, it's a gilded cage for humanity. There's no room for individual freedom, dissent, even free will, it seems.
Exactly. And that is where the character of Siona Atreides is so important. She's a descendant of Paul Atreides, and she's been bred, genetically engineered, you could say, to be invisible to prescience. Even Leto II's. Her existence, just her being alive, challenges his control. It's a wild card that he just cannot foresee.
Wow. So she's not just rebelling against him, she represents this inherent ability for humans to break free from any system, even one designed by, well, a god emperor with prescience.
Precisely. Siona embodies that spark of defiance that Leto II fears. But in a way, he needs it. He understands that humanity cannot stay stagnant under his rule. They need to evolve, adapt. And Siona, her unpredictable nature, is a catalyst for that change.
And then there's the Duncan Idaho Ghoulists. I mean, Leto keeps bringing back this swordmaster from his father's time, but every single Ghula ends up questioning his rule. It's like this repeating cycle of rebellion, even within his own inner circle.
It really is, and it's so interesting. The Duncan Gulas, they embody this tension between loyalty and free will. They're bound to Leto II by their genetic memory, right? Yet their own consciousness, who they are as individuals, emerges, and they push back against his authority, against him. Each Duncan is almost like this little microcosm of the human spirit, that struggle for autonomy.
Yeah, it's like Leto II is trying to recreate a past he can control. But human nature keeps, I don't know, keeps disrupting his plan. It makes you wonder if even a god emperor can truly extinguish that desire for freedom. Is his golden path destined to fail from the very beginning?
That's a question we'll keep exploring as we get deeper into this, but just think about this. Leto II's power, it doesn't just come from prescience or his strength as a sandworm. He has this meticulous control over the spice, the economy, even religion through the fish speakers. He has crafted a system where his authority is total. It touches everything in human life.
But in doing that, hasn't he isolated himself even further? I mean, trapped by this very system he's created. It's like he's built this gilded cage, not just for humanity, but for himself.
Oh, that's a great observation. The stolen journals hint at his loneliness, yeah. This yearning to connect with others, even with his monstrous form and all this power. And that's where Atri Nori comes in, this Ixian ambassador who becomes his wife. Their relationship adds a whole new dimension to his character.
Right, their connection, it's portrayed as so genuine, even loving. Despite how grotesque Leto looks, it challenges this idea that he's just a detached, emotionless being. There's a vulnerability there, like this flicker of humanity that you wouldn't expect from a god emperor.
Absolutely. Half-Nori, she represents this unexpected challenge to his control, and not through rebellion like Siona, but through love. It forces him to confront his own humanity, the parts of himself that he sacrificed for this grand plan for the Golden Path. It makes you think, can even a god emperor escape that power of human connection?
Okay, I am completely hooked. We've got this god emperor wrestling with his own humanity, rebels trying to take him down, a forbidden love story.
Hmm.
And it's all against a backdrop of, well, political scheming. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Oh, we've only just scratched the surface. There's the Ixian conspiracy, remember? Their attempts to build a no-ship, completely undetectable by prescience. And we have to consider, is Hirinori a pawn in their game? Buckle up, it's going to get even more complicated. Welcome back to our deep dive into God Emperor of Dune. We left off with Leto II, this god emperor facing challenges, not just from the outside, but from within, too.
Right, he's got Siona out there, completely invisible to his prescience, those Duncan, Idaho gulas, always wrestling with their loyalty. And now this forbidden love with Hirinori,
Hmm.
a woman chosen by the Ixians. It feels like, I don't know, like everything's about to explode.
You're right to feel that tension. It's there throughout the book. The Ixians, they are this constant thorn in Leto II's side. They represent technology's potential to disrupt the order that he so carefully created over thousands of years. That pursuit of the no-ship, a ship invisible to prescience, it undermines his control over space travel, and really, by extension, his control over his whole empire.
It's amazing how Herbert weaves all these threads together. You've got the Ixians, masters of technology, plotting against him. And then you've got the Tleilaxu, too, manipulating biology with their face dancers and gulas. They both represent these forces that could, I don't know, could really break his grip on power.
That's exactly it. And Leto II, he knows this. He's very aware of it. It's like he's walking a tightrope. He needs these groups. He relies on them. But they are a constant threat, too. He needs the Lilaxu to create the Duncan Gulas, but he also knows they could turn on him in an instant. Same with the Dixians. He needs their technology, but he sees their ambition, their desire to challenge him.
It's almost like he's, I don't know, like he's setting himself up to fail by allowing these groups to operate so freely within his empire. Like it's a test not just for humanity, but for himself, too.
Hmm, that's an interesting interpretation. Remember, Leto II believes that humanity has to evolve. They can't rely on prescience forever. They need to move beyond it. He wants to create a future where they can make their own choices, free from, being bound by what's going to happen by destiny. Maybe he sees the Ixians and the Thylaxia as agents of chaos, like forces that will push humanity to adapt and change, to become stronger.
Okay, but what about the Bene Gesserit? I mean,
Yep.
they have their own plans for humanity, right? That breeding program, it's been going on for centuries. Where do they fit into all of this?
Ah, the Bene Gesserit, they are a fascinating force in this universe. They've been playing this long game, manipulating bloodlines, events, for centuries, as you said.
Yeah.
And they have not given up on their agenda, not even with a god emperor in charge.
But they helped create Siona, the one person who Leto II can't see with his prescience. So are they working with him or against him?
That's the thing, it's ambiguous, and that makes them so interesting. The Bene Gesserit, they are pragmatists above all else. They recognize Leto II's power, but they also see him as a tool, something they can use, manipulate. They are always looking for ways to nudge humanity in the direction they want.
So everyone is playing this incredibly complex game of chess with Leto II as the king. But we're starting to see those cracks, those vulnerabilities that could lead to his downfall.
And we can't forget, even a god emperor is still human. He's capable of love, vulnerability, and maybe even making mistakes. His
Yeah.
relationship with Horinori, that proves it. He allows himself to connect with her, to feel a kind of intimacy that he hasn't experienced in, well, thousands of years.
But isn't that dangerous for him, with the Ixians always scheming, potentially using Eluinori for their own purposes?
Oh, absolutely. Love, it can be a powerful force, but it can also be a huge weakness, especially for someone like Leto II. He is surrounded by enemies, remember? And his feelings for Hirinori, they make him vulnerable.
It's like, oh, I don't know, it's like a classic tragedy. Power versus love, duty versus desire. You get this sense that something terrible is going to happen.
Herbert, he builds that tension so well. He gives us glimpses into Leto II's thoughts, his doubts, his fears, even as he projects this image of ultimate power and control.
And what about Siona? She hasn't done much in this part of the book,
Hmm.
but she's out there, somewhere. gathering allies, plotting against Leto II.
Don't underestimate her, Siona. She represents the future, the generation that will inherit Leto II's legacy, whether he wants them to or not. She was bred to rebel, to think for herself,
Yeah.
and she carries the weight of her ancestors, their struggle for freedom.
She also inherited Leto II's memories, right?
Aisha.
From the stolen journals.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, like he wanted her to understand why he did what he did. His vision for humanity's future, even as she's working to destroy everything he's built.
That is one of the most fascinating parts of their relationship. You get this sense of kinship between them, this shared understanding. Even though they are on opposite sides, it's almost as if Leto II sees Siona as the culmination of his golden path, the one who will ultimately lead humanity forward.
Okay, so we've got the God Emperor nearing the end of his 3,500-year reign, the rebel Siona getting ready to make her move, the Ixians and the Tleilaxu plotting, scheming in the shadows, and the Bene Gesserit watching everything, waiting. What happens next? How does it all fall apart?
Well, remember, Leto II has seen his own death. He knows it's coming, he knows his time is ending, and he has been orchestrating the events that will lead to his downfall. And
Yeah.
the catalyst, the thing that sets it all in motion, his love for Nori.
Okay, so we left off with this idea that Leto II has seen his own death. He knows it's coming, and it's all tied to Nori. It feels like, everything is building to this moment. What happens next?
Well, we have to keep in mind, Leto II has been shaping events for millennia, all for this golden path, this plan of his. And he's convinced, utterly convinced, that his death is essential for this to work. It's what will free humanity from prescience, from relying on it. It will push them towards, well, an unpredictable future.
He's not running from death then, he's orchestrating it. That's
Yeah.
it's chilling, but also kind of noble, right? He's willing to sacrifice himself.
And the stage for this sacrifice, it's the Royal Road, this massive highway across Arrakis. Leto II, with Nori by his side, he's heading to the city of On, knowing full well that danger is waiting for him.
He's walking into a trap. He knows that the little Axu have infiltrated the Fremen with their face dancers, ready to attack.
Exactly. He's making himself vulnerable on purpose as part of this grand plan. He even warns Nori, tells her to be ready for what's coming.
But why? Why not stay safe in his citadel, surrounded by the fish speakers? Why risk everything on this elaborate, almost theatrical death?
Because, I think Leto II understands, the power of symbols. His death has to be public, a spectacle. It's the only way to truly shake the foundations of his empire, shatter that image of him being invulnerable.
He's breaking the hold of prescience then, scattering humanity, making them adapt, evolve.
It's a brutal kind of liberation, yeah.
It really is.
Leto II's golden path, it's not about gentle guidance. It's about pushing humanity, forcing them towards independence. And his death, well, it's the ultimate act of that philosophy.
So what happens on the Royal Road?
Just as he foresaw, the attack comes. The face dancers reveal themselves, chaos everywhere. And Nori, she's caught in the middle of it. Leto II sees her fall into the river. Her last words, this echo of love and sacrifice.
That's so sad. He loses the one person who seems to have brought back his humanity, and it was all part of his plan. Did he ever think about another way, one where love and survival weren't in conflict?
Well, in the stolen journals, you see his internal struggle, He knows the pain his choices cause, even as he's justifying it all, for the greater good, for humanity's future.
But the attack, it doesn't kill him, right?
No, he survives, but he's badly injured. His worm body is falling apart. He ends up in a hidden cave, taken there by Nyla, a fish speaker who's secretly loyal to Siona. And it's in this cave that he has his final confrontation with Siona and Duncan, Idaho.
So all the main players, they come together in this one place. What happens? What does Leto II do?
Well, he's weak, dying, and he reveals everything to Siona, the whole golden path. He tells her she passed his test, that her rebellious nature, it was all part of his design. She was bred to be free from prescience, to lead humanity into a future that no one can see.
He's giving her the responsibility then for this future that he created.
Yes, exactly. He makes her understand that his tyranny, his transformation, it was all to break humanity free from stagnation, from dependence.
But what about Duncan, Idaho? He's been there throughout Leto II's reign. Every Gola struggling with his loyalty. What does he do?
Duncan, as always, he's torn. He feels that connection to Leto II, the loyalty built up over lifetimes. But he also sees the truth in Siona's rebellion, that humanity needs a future where they choose their own path.
He chooses Siona then, the future over the past.
And in that choice, I think,
Yeah.
we see just how resilient humanity can be, even against a god emperor. That desire for freedom, for making your own choices, it always finds a way.
So Leto II dies, and his plan, well, it seems to have worked. Siona, she carries his memories now, and the burden of his legacy, stepping into a future that she is free to shape.
And that's the amazing thing about God, Emperor of Dune. It doesn't give you easy answers. It leaves you with these questions about power, sacrifice, humanity's future, questions that are still relevant today.
We've covered so much in this deep dive. Leto II's transformation, his rule, the rebellions against him, his relationships with Siona, Duncan, Hidenori. But even after all of this, I feel like there's so much more to think about.
That's the mark of great science fiction. It stays with you, makes you question things, your beliefs, your understanding of power, freedom, makes you think about the choices we make, the sacrifices we're willing to bear, and the legacy we leave behind.
So, to all our listeners out there, as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with this. What did you take away from Leto II's 3,500-year reign? What resonated with you, challenged you, or maybe what scared you? Because these questions, the ones raised in God, Emperors of Dune, they matter now, just as much as they did when Herbert wrote them.